Welcome to biology class. Today we are going to discuss the chapter biological classification. We know after the class you will be able to understand the process of classification of organism, and you will identify the different categories of organism like the bacteria, and you can define the dikaryon and alternational generation, etc. And then you describe the different features of protozoans, virus, etc. and apply your gained knowledge of biological classification in your daily life, and you will appreciate the role of bacteria in human progress. We can see right now, if you are looking to the nature, we can see wonderful diversity around us which have been formed by taking millions of years. But as far as human beings' lifespan is concerned, it is very difficult to study all this group of organisms. So what we are doing means, we are classifying this group of organisms based on some different characteristic features, or either by similarities or the difference also. By doing so, we can study the group of organisms and their morphology or the physiology and the use to the human beings, etc. We can know these conditions also. So today we are going to discuss the biological classification. First one, we can see the history of biological classification. In the case of history of biological classification, we know that the first man to classify the organism is the great Aristotle, and he classified the organism into two groups based on their motility or the mobility. And one group he called them as the plants, they are non-motile, and again he classified them based on their morphological features like the trees, shrubs and herbs, etc. Another group of organism he classified, they are the motile one, they can move from one place to another, and they are called as the animals, etc. And this group of organisms he classified based on their habitat, and as well as they had the red blood, and those who did not have that particular one. This classification made by the starting by the great scientist, namely Aristotle. The next one, we can see the different system of classification, and in which we can see the 2 kingdom classification, 3 kingdom classification, 4 kingdom, 5 kingdom and 6 kingdom classification made by different scientists. If you are looking to the slide, that we can see 2 kingdom classification proposed by Carl Linné, and is the father of classification also, and he classified the organism as in the form of Plantae and Animalia. Another scientist, namely Ernst Haeckel, he classified the organism into 3 groups including the Protista. And these 2 groups of organisms mainly classified the motility and as well as their photosynthetic activity. And Ernst Haeckel identified some of group of organisms which are having the capacity of both motility as well as photosynthetic capacity. Hence he included the group of organisms into another kingdom, namely Protista. So here we can see the 3 kingdom Protista, Plantae and Animalia, etc. Next one, scientist namely Copeland, and he classified again the organism into 4 kingdom, and that kingdom includes one more, that is Monera, then Protista, Metaphyta the plant, and Metazoa the animals, etc. 5 kingdom is also there. At the same time, we will discuss it later. Right now we will go for 6 kingdom classification. Carl Voss, one scientist, he classified the entire organism into 6 kingdom. What he has done means, he classified the kingdom Monera, that we are going to discuss, and that he classified into 2, namely Archaeobacteria and Eubacteria, and as usual one Protista kingdom Fungi, kingdom Plantae and kingdom Animalia. Carl Voss. And we are going to discuss right now the classification, especially we are following right now, it is 5 kingdom classification proposed by R.H. Whitaker in 1969, and he classified the organism into 5 kingdom, and the kingdom Monera, kingdom Protista, kingdom Fungi, kingdom Plantae and kingdom Animalia. And what are the character features, or what is the criteria for the classification, we can see here. And he considered the cell structure, that means whether they are prokaryotes or eukaryotes, or the thallus organization, that means the body nature, whether they are unicellular or multicellular. And the next one is the mode of nutrition, whether they are autotrophic or heterotrophic. And the next one is reproduction, whether they are sexually producing or asexually producing. And the finally phylogenetic relation, that means evolutionary relationship among all the group of organs. And he made them based on simple to the complex level classification, simple level of organism modified into the complex one. And the 5 kingdoms are Kingdom Monera, Kingdom Protista, Kingdom Fungi, Kingdom Plantae and Kingdom Animalia. The name of scientist is R. H. Whittaker, 5 kingdom classification. Here you can see the diagram, etc. The next, if you are observing, we can see the entire picture of that particular features of all the kingdoms. Here we can see the cell type, cell wall, then nuclear membrane, body organization and mode of nutrition. And the first one we can see whether they are prokaryote or eukaryote. And the second one you can see whether they are having the cell wall, if it is there, what are the chemical used for. And next one, nuclear membrane, whether present or absent. And next one we can see body organization, whether the body is made up of cells or the tissues or the organs or organ system. And the last one we can see the mode of nutrition. This is the criteria considered by R. H. Whittaker for the classification of organism into 5 kingdom classification, etc. And we can see the first of all, we are going to discuss right now each kingdom with their specific character features. First of all, we can see Kingdom Monera. We know it, generally they are called as bacteria, all the group of organisms. And they are having their own particular features. They are the most abundant microbes which are present on earth. And they are present in all the type of habitat. They are present everywhere, omnipresent term we are using, including very harsh, unsuitable or unfavorable condition to other organisms also, like the hot springs, deserts, snow and deep oceans where temperature is more and high, etc. And another feature we can see, most of them are living as the parasites in the body or outside or extended in the body of host organism, etc. And we can see again the classification in the Kingdom Monera based on their morphological features. There are 4 major type of bacteria are there based on their external morphology. And we can see here the first one is called as coccus. The shape is spherical in nature, the body shape, unicellular organism, and they are all the prokaryotic ones also. And the second one is the bacillus or cylindrical or rod shaped one. And the third one Vibrio or the coma shaped organism. And the next one is spirillum or spiral shaped. Here we can see the images, etc. This is the classification of the bacteria based on their morphological features. Here we can see the different groups of organisms exactly. And here Archaebacteria, the next one is Eubacteria and Mycoplasma. This is the major groups we are going to discuss. First one is Archaebacteria, another one is Eubacteria, next one is which one? The Mycoplasma, etc. And here we can see the Archaebacteria. There are 3 groups are there in the Archaea or ancient bacteria, which are living with very primitive character features. And here we can see the halophilic bacteria, one group. They are living in the high salty condition. No other organism can live. Another one is the thermoacidophilic bacteria or thermoacidophytes. As the word meaning indicating, high temperature and high acidic condition they can live. And the third one is the methanogenic group of bacteria. They are normally present in the case of marshy area where oxygen content is very less. What are the features we can see here? And here we can see these organisms are living maximum in harsh habitats. Well, these are all the harsh habitats only. Generally other organisms cannot live. Then what will make them to live? We can see it is because of a special type of cell wall help them to live in that kind of special condition, which is high temperature, high acidic condition and as well as the salty condition and the anaerobic condition, etc. In this one, normally you must have heard of the biogas plant where we are using the cow dung, etc. for the raw material for the generation of biogas. And how they will produce means we are using the cow dung in that biogas as a raw material. Why? Because means that contain the methanogenic bacteria. That methanogenic bacteria at the time of degradation of the materials, it will produce the methane gas which will be collected. The same thing where we can see it is present in the stomach of ruminant organism like cow, etc. And they will be taking the food. The partial digestion of this one is taking place with the help of methanogenic group of bacteria, etc. So methanogenic group of bacteria they are present in the ruminant, the stomach of ruminant organism, which will produce the methane gas, comes under archaea bacteria. Next we can see the U or the true bacteria. They are very different types are there, like photosynthetic cyanobacteria, and then the chemosynthetic bacteria, and heterotrophs are also there. First of all, we can see the features. They are all having rigid cell wall, and they may or may not have the flagellum for motile or mobility or locomotion. Generally, they are all unicellular, but they will be seen as in the form of colonial or the filamentous in nature. And in many group of organisms, the entire part is completely lined by external mucilaginous or gelatinous sheath will be there. Normally we can see. And the cyanobacteria, if you are taking generally, they are all having a special feature of the presence of chlorophyll pigment like that of the higher plants, which will make them to perform photosynthetic activity. So that group of organism, they are comes under the cyanobacteria. At the same time, they can be seen, which one of the cyanobacteria can be seen in the water to make them to pollute also. And other category of bacteria, we can see here, they can fix the atmospheric nitrogen into the soil with the help of special cells, namely heterocyst etc. are the special cells engaged in nitrogen fixation. You know the common examples like nostoc and anabina etc. This organism comes under eubacteria, true bacteria, and they are cyanobacteria etc. the name we are giving also. The next one is eubacteria or the true bacteria, another category. They are chemosynthetic autotrophic bacteria. Chemosynthesis is a type of autotrophism in which chemical energy will be used for the assimilation of carbon components etc. And here what is happening, oxidation of various inorganic substances will help them to synthesize the food. And what are the inorganic constants here? The nitrates and ammonia during the fixation of nitrogen. We already discussed it in 9th class also. And they play great role in nutrient cycling like nitrogen, phosphorus, iron and sulfur etc. These bacteria are called as the chemosynthetic autotrophic group of bacteria etc. The name we are giving to that particular ones etc. will be there. Next one is heterotrophic bacteria. Daily life, in our daily life they are having a great role actually, and they are maximum they are decomposers, but will help us to make the different type of usable items. For example, the curd from the milk and the antibiotics and all the things we can get it with the help of microbial organisms etc. And they will help in the nitrogen fixation. At the same time, even though they are very useful, same time they are also problematic, making some disease in our body, and as well as in the case of which one are the crops and as well as the farm animals and the pet also. So they are also pathogenic in nature. And so reproduction we can see there are 3 types are there. 3 methods are there normally. Sexually, asexual primitive form of sexual reproduction, that is called as the conjugation. Another method is there by the fission as well as the spore formation also. So in the case of bacteria we can see reproduction by the fission, the division of the body and the producing spores, and as well as a primitive type of exchange of genetic material, namely the conjugation can be seen. Next group is called as mycoplasma. It is well known for us because the smallest living organism comes under this group. The name is PPLO, Pleuropneumonia-like organism. The feature is they lack a cell wall. Cell wall is not there in this group of organism, and we can see they are anaerobic group of organism also, and as well as they are pathogenic group of organism. Thus we can see Archaeobacteria, Eubacteria and Mycoplasma are the organism comes under kingdom Munera. Next group, that is kingdom Protista, well known for us as in the name of amoeba, and they are predominantly aquatic. There are major group of organisms are here: chrysophytes, dinoflagellates, euglenoids, slime moths and protozoa. We are going to discuss each one. First one is chrysophytes. They are all aquatic one, can be present both in marine and as well as freshwater, and they are called as normally diatoms or golden algae or the desmids. They are the chief producers of aquatic ecosystem, and as per the structure is considered, and this organism is having a shell like structure as in the form of cell wall, which is made up of especially silica. They are also called as planktons and they are very microscopic nature. And there is a phenomena of diatomaceous earth. The accumulation of large amount of the cell wall of this group of organisms deposits particular area in the seas or the oceans, etc. It forms a particular area, namely diatomaceous earth, because of the accumulation of cell wall which contain the silica. And what are the uses we can see? And they are using for polishing the things as far as the utility of human beings are concerned, and as well as they are using for filtration or the purification of oils and as well as syrups, etc. Remember, chrysophytes are the chief producers of aquatic or ocean ecosystem. They are also called as the diatoms, etc. The next group, dinoflagellates, as the name indicates, they are having the two flagella will be there, and the other feature we can see they are present in marine condition only, and they are photosynthetic also. And the other special feature is that if you are observing the figure, we can see the shelled, two-layer shelled-like structure will be there in the case of the body, covered by the two shelled cell, and it is mainly made up of which one are the cellulose plates, etc. And one important feature we can see here, the two flagella will be there. One is the horizontal, another one is which one are the longitudinal one also we can see here. And another method, they are all having the different pigments, like we can see yellow, green, brown, blue, red, etc. Whenever they are having large number in the aquatic ecosystem, that entire color will be like that. And one common phenomena we have mentioning here is red tide of the seas or the oceans, and it is because of a particular red colored dinoflagellates, namely goniolax, and that phenomena is called as the red tide. But the problem is that they may contain or they may produce some poisonous components which will be problematic for the fish population also. Dinoflagellates character feature is presence of two flagella will be there in their body. Another category, the common one we know it, euglenoids. The euglena comes under this one, and they are normally aquatic and they are present in the stagnant freshwater. And this group of organisms are also having two flagella, and one is the short, another one is long also. And at the same time, in the case of this group of organisms, we can see instead of cell wall, a protein made cell layer will be there, which is called as pellicle. The name is called as which one? The pellicle. And another peculiar feature is that they are having the chlorophyll pigment like that of the higher plants. But whenever the unfavorable condition comes, for example, water is not at all there, they will be shifted to the process of heterotrophic mode of nutrition by eating the other group of organisms also. That group of organisms are called as normally euglenoids, comes under the kingdom Protista, etc. Another one is the slime molds. This mold is actually related with the fungi. But here the thing is that this group of organisms are saprophytic protozoans. The saprophytic protozoans will not have the capacity to prepare food by themselves, and they are unicellular or the aggregation of the multicellular also, and they are the major decomposers also. Here we can see one term we are using, plasmodium, nothing but the aggregation of the cells formed during suitable condition which will spread to engulf or to eat the decaying twigs and leaves, etc. in the area. This group of organisms will reproduce as in the form of normally the spores during the unfavorable and the favorable conditions also, and we can see the spores will be dispersed by means of the air current, and the spores will have the true walls to protect them from unfavorable conditions also. This group of organisms are mainly the decomposed or the saprophytic, which one are the protistans. Next group is there in the case of the category is the protozoans. The organisms are there and they are predators or the parasites, etc. And they are mainly living in the considered as the primitive group of animals or related with the animals, etc. And this group of organ, there are four type of organisms are there. We can see amoeboid protozoans and flagellated protozoan in the first slide. Amoeboid protozoans, we know that one, they are the unicellular eukaryotic amoeboid, which are characterized by the pseudopodia or the false proof of locomotion, and they are aquatic one, and they are present in the freshwater or the seawater or the moist soil also. But some of them are there in the marine condition, which are having silica like layer will be there in the case of the cells. But some of them are the free living amoeba and the endamoeba like organism, which is a parasitic organism living in the body, which makes amoebiasis disease in the case of human beings. So the peculiar feature is presence of pseudopodia. Another one has the name indicating flagellated protozoans, and they are having the elongated flagella like structure, or flagella will be there. They are seen as in the form of either free living or the parasitic mode of life will be there. Maximum of this group comes under pathogenic in nature, which causes different diseases including sleeping sickness. Example, Trypanosoma gambians or brucei, etc. are there. The next one we can see the other group, namely the ciliated protozoans and as well as the sporozoans. As the name indicates, entire part of the body will be covered by the cilia. For example, is the paramecium or Favorite paramecium, and they are having the peculiar feature. We can see one gullet will be there, one chamber will be there, opens out from outside. And when the water is coming with the help of the cilia, water is coming inside, and the water which contain the food will be taken by them by internal digestion or intradigestion, etc. will be there. And another group is the sporozoans. They are very well known for some of the diseases like Plasmodium, which causes malaria. Why they are called as sporozoans means some of the life stages of this one comes under or looks like a spore like a structure will be there. So there are 4 groups are there, like amoeboid, ciliated, flagellated, and as well as the sporozoans under kingdom Protista. Next we can see the kingdom fungi. They are the all heterotrophic group of organism. Maximum are the multicellular, and some of them are which one are unicellular also. What we can see here means they are multicellular and they are which one are the unicellular organism also. If you are observing the hyphae and the mycelium, here we can see this is the simple basal structure of the body, and the hyphae is the structure elongated slender like a structure which is made up of large number of cells. And whenever it is getting connected with each other, it is called as which one are mycelium. This will be the basis of the body. So here at the time of classification, what we are telling, the type of the hyphae we are taking, whether they are septate one. Septate means in between the cells are there, the cells are having clear cut septum is there. They are called as septate one. If there is no septa at all the cells will share the cytoplasm, so they will have more number of cells in the same. Hence it is called as cenocytic or the multinucleated condition, etc. So other than that one, we can see they are having which one the cell wall, which is made up of the chitin and the polysaccharides, other cellulose, hemicellulose, etc. will be there. And they can see in different forms also, as in the form of saprophytes, parasites, and symbionts. Symbionts already we mentioned. They are having an algal connection in the case of lichens, and the case of mycorrhiza, they are having association with the root hair plants, etc. will be there. And in the case of reproduction of this group of organisms, we can see reproduction is vegetative reproduction, sexual and asexual. Vegetative one by means of fragmentation, fission, and the budding. And the case of asexual reproduction, the spores are there, like conidia, sporangiospores, and zoospores. But in the case of sexual reproduction, the spores will be formed after the fusion, and that spores are ascospores, oospores, and basidiospores, etc. And there are 3 important stages are there in the case of sexual reproduction. One is the plasmogamy, characterized by the fusion between the 2 gametes or the hyphae, etc. Cytoplasm fusion is called as plasmogamy. After that, each cytoplasm contains the nucleus. They will fuse with each other. That is called as karyogamy, fusion of 2 nuclei. Here we can see. Okay. After that, the fused cell or the structure will undergo the meiosis. That is, meiosis in zygote result in haploid spores. Spores are produced. That spores are oospores, asco, and the basidio, etc. At the same time, one more interesting feature here we can see dikaryon. Karyon means the related to the nucleus. So whenever the fusion is taking place between the 2 gametes, we can see some of the cells are having the 2 nuclei are there. That stage is a temporary one. Can be seen in the case of ascomycetes and basidiomycetes. That phase is called as dikaryon, etc. So these are the important stages. Right now we are going to discuss the classification of the kingdom fungi. First group is phycomycetes, and it is very common for us. This is the fungi which spoil our bread, etc. So they are called as phycomycetes, and generally they are found in aquatic ecosystem and as well as in the decaying wood in the moist condition, etc. Their feature is their classification is based on type of the hyphae or the mycelium, mode of nutrition and reproduction also. Here what we can see, the mycelium is aseptate and as well as cenocytic. There is no septum between, and they contain more number of multinucleate condition. And at the same time, reproduction essentially by zoospores or the aplanospores, non-motile and motile spores will be there. And then a zygospore is formed by the fusion of two gametes. So the sexual reproduction by zygospore and asexual by the zoospore or aplanospores, etc. are there, and mainly the mucor and rhizopus. They are all the bread black mold and as well as the simple fungi which spoil the food, etc. This is called as normally the phycomycetes. Next one is ascomycetes or the sac fungi, and this group of organism saprophytic, decomposes, parasitic and coprophilous. That means they are present in the dung, excreta or some of the animals also. First one. Second one, we are telling again, they are rarely unicellular and maximum of them are multicellular. Then what is their mycelium or hyphae nature? They are septate and as well as branched one, what we have seen earlier, septate and branched. And then the reproduction, we can see asexual spores are conidia, and then the sexual spores are ascospores. These ascospores are present in a structure namely ascus or asci, and large number of such ascus or asci will form to form the fruiting body namely ascocarp. So remember, ascocarp is a collection of asci, and asci contain which one? Ascospores, which are produced by the sexual reproduction. And the group, hence it is called as sac fungi, sac-like structure. And the group are called as ascomycetes. Example, neurospora, etc. are there. Neurospora used the maximum in the case of genetic study also. Next one is basidiomyces, the club fungi, or favorite mushrooms, etc. are there. So this group of organisms are also mainly what we can say, they are also the parasite and as well as the decomposing group of organisms, can be seen in the case of tree stems or the soil or the logs, etc. And we are taking the mycelium, here also the same, branched and septate also there. But the difference is coming here, they are reproducing by vegetative reproduction by fragmentation. At the same time, no asexual spores are found in this one. There is no asexual spores in this one. Earlier one it was conidia. But here sexual reproduction activity is taking place, and the spores are called as basidiospores, are the name of the spores, which are present in the sac-like structure namely basidium. Large number of such basidium will form the fruiting body namely basidiocarp. Hence the name basidiomycetes. Basidiomycetes. So the common features are there, but the problem is there is no asexual spores. And example is agaricus, normal or mushroom, etc. comes under this group, etc. will be there. And another group is there, it is called as fungi imperfecti, and this is called as deuteromycetes. Deuteromycetes. Like the higher group of fungi, they are also having septate and branched mycelium, and they are mainly in the case of which one decomposers and saprophytes or the parasite also. Why they called as fungi imperfecti means they will reproduce only by means of the vegetative as well as asexual phase is there. That group of organisms are called as deuteromycetes. Remaining all of them are having the other character like that of ascomycetes and basidiomycetes. And this group of organisms also making some diseases in the case of both the plants and animals also. So the group is called as fungi imperfecti. So ascomycetes, phycomycetes, basidiomycetes and deuteromycetes are the major groups of the organism comes under kingdom fungi, etc. there. In the case of the next one, we can see kingdom Plantae. There is a detailed study again, but we can remember some of the important features. They are all organism, unicellular and multicellular organism, and all the cells are covered by the cellulose, and at the same time they are eukaryotic and chlorophyll bearing organism, etc. And some of them are here heterotrophic. Heterotrophic in the sense means they will not prepare the food, even though they are having the chlorophyll. In that one, two type are there. One is the parasitic, another one is insectivorous plants. Example and diagram also given here. An insectivorous plant, bladderwort and Venus flytrap is there. And you must have known about the Cuscuta, which is a parasitic one. The important feature of the life cycle of this plant is alternation of generation. That means one phase of the life is diploid sporophyte. It will produce the next stage like haploid gametophyte. Like alternation of generation, a sequence can be seen as far as the reproduction is concerned. This group of organisms. The major groups will study in detail. That is algae, bryophytes, pteridophyte, gymnosperm and angiosperm etc. are the kingdom plantae. Next one we can see another one is called as kingdom Animalia, weed people. And we are having the peculiar feature, it is only the multicellular and without any chlorophyll pigments, and the cell does not contain the cell wall. But the remaining things are highly developed. We are having the capacity to move from one place to another, locomotion, and highly developed sensory and neuromotor mechanism. In the case of nervous system, muscular system etc. highly developed. At the same time, here we can see the nutrition is holozoic. Complex food will be consumed. And at the same time, which one reserve food is glycogen or the fat. In the plants, it is starch etc. will be there. And here we can see the copulation is the sexual activity between the male and the female, followed by the embryological development. So, motility and the cell without cell wall and holozoic nutrition are the major features of the organism comes under kingdom Animalia. Next one is the virus. We can remember the name of the scientist who contributed to the study of virus etc. First of all, we can see Louis Pasteur. He gave the name, the virus, that is a venom or the poisonous fluid. Another one scientist, namely D.J. Ivanovsky, and he identified this organism may cause or they caused the disease in the case of tobacco mosaic virus or mosaic disease of tobacco by D.J. Ivanovsky. Another scientist, M.W. Bijernik, what he has done means he collected the juice from the infected plant and injected into the other healthy plants. And he stated that one, it will also transmit the disease, that fluid, and he called that is as infectious living fluid or contagium vivum fluid, which contain the virus. And the last scientist, namely W.M. Stanley, showed that the protein could be crystallized and they will be there as in the form of the crystal proteins. So, four great scientists contribute to the discovery and the information regarding the virus. We can see right now virus is one of the important one right now we know regarding the COVID-19 pandemic etc. They are non-cellular and as well as the acellular group of organism, and as far as the other conditions are concerned, they are obligate parasite. That means they can live in the body of organism only, without which they cannot live also. And when it comes to the body of the host body, they will utilize the mechanism of the host body, thus they will live. At the same time, we can see the virus are of different types are there, and generally they are having an external coat, namely the protein, and again inside which genetic material, either RNA or the DNA. So they may affect the plant, then animal and other group of organisms also. The virus which affect the plant, they are having only single stranded RNA, but at the same time the virus which affect the animal, they are having single or double stranded RNA, or double stranded DNA will be the genetic material of the animal infecting virus. At the same time, another group of virus is there, and they are called as bacteriophages, which will infect the bacteria, which are also having the double stranded DNA. So, major weapon in their body is the genetic material, either RNA or the DNA also. And they are very important. Why? Because means they are the pathogenic organism. They are causing many type of diseases both in plants and animals. Any type of living organism you take it, they are mainly the pathogenic ones. And if you are checking the body nature, it is a very simple structure only. The body itself is made up of only a single structure here. The thing is that the external part you can see, it is called the capsid, the cover. Very powerful proteins are there to make the capsid of the layer. And each unit of this one is called as capsomeres. Capsomere, large number of capsomere forming the capsid is there, and here we can see the RNA or the DNA will be there. So here what is happening means, and this protein will protect the internal which one of the material as in the form of genetic material. Also here we can see the structure of a bacteriophage. By using the tail fibers, they will attach with the body and they will insert, they will send the genetic material from their part to the host body also. So this is about the virus etc. will be there in the case of which one biological classification. Next we can see viroids, another a particular non-living outside the organism itself. It is called as the viroids. In 1971, Theo Diner, one scientist, discovered a group of organisms smaller than virus, and they are not having any kind of the protein coat, and they are having the RNA as the virus material, which is low molecular weight than that of the original virus, etc. These are the features. Smaller than virus, they don't have the external covering, and the virus contain RNA which is low molecular weight than that of the normal ones itself, and they are the pathogenic. Hence he called them as viroids. The name of scientist is Theo Diner in 1971. The last part of the discussion is the lichens. We told earlier at the time of the discussion of fungi, there are some group of organisms joining together, living together, helping with each other. That association is called symbiotic association. And in this one we can see lichens are made up of algae and the fungi. Remember, algae can prepare food by themselves because of chlorophyll pigment. Fungi cannot because of the lack of chlorophyll pigments. Then also they will make an association. That association is called as lichens. And the fungal part of that particular lichen is called as mycobiont. Mycology is the study of the fungi. Mycology. Phycology is the study of which one? The algae. So you can remember that one. So here the algal part of the lichen is called a phycobiont, and the fungal part of the lichen is the mycobiont itself. And they will prepare the food. One will absorb the nutrients, other part, the algae will prepare the food by chlorophyll pigments. The important thing as far as the lichens are concerned, they are called as ecological indicator. That means they don't grow in a polluted area because they cannot survive as in the form of a single unit. Thank you.